Sign and lighting for Joyology at 4898 Bald Mountain Road, Sidwell 09-35-477-003. It was postponed from our meeting on April 10th due to an error in the advertisement. It was re-advertised and it's back. Petitioner seeking one variance from sign ordinance 153, section 7, permitted ground and wall signs zoned IP. Number one, a variance for one wall sign above the allowed one wall sign for a total of two wall signs totaling 133.34 square feet on the south elevation. Come on up, introduce yourself.
How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
My name is Mo Zaytoun. I represent Southfield Signs, and I'm also the one handling all the paperwork permitting for Joyology for their second sign.
Okay, am I correct in my memory, and at my age you can never know for sure, there is already a sign on what is the west face.
Correct.
You're wanting to put one that was advertised on the east face, you wanted it on the south face.
Correct.
Facing Dutton Road,
Correct.
and it has been properly advertised, and here we are.
Yes.
Thank you, board members.
I was surprised that the only new information that was given us was an aerial with a red circle on the south face of the building, no other information, no other justification. I went back then to the original application, and it appears that the only justification is, oh, well, we sit on a corner lot, and we want to have the sign, seen from more than one direction. I expected after the discussion at the last meeting that you people would have taken a better look at what was being requested or what you wanted to have or your client wanted to have, and come back with some additional information. A red circle on an aerial photo isn't enough additional information to really, in my opinion, meet the requirements of the ordinance regarding a variance.
I didn't realize there was more information needed. When I talked to Lynn, she said, I'm going to re-advertise it. Everything is still the same. I said, yes, everything is the same. The only thing we're changing is we used the wrong info. Facing, we put east instead of the south side.
Mr. Naskis.
Help me remember. The sign that is on the
West side.
west side of the building, how is it positioned on the property?
How is it positioned?
Is it on the building? Is it,
It's on the building.
and is it visible from any other direction?
Not really. Only going, I'm sorry,
Going east?
going east on Dutton.
On Dutton. So really, if you're coming west on Dutton, or if you're on the crossroad, you cannot see the sign?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Flood.
I was out there again yesterday looking at that, and Mrs. Danaskis is exactly right. I came in off of Squirrel Road, and if they hadn't had the banners, those temporary banners up there, I wouldn't know what that building is, coming from the west side. Now, from the Lapeer Road side, I gotta admit, my vision is not as what it used to be when I was a younger man, but if you can read that sign from M24, good luck. Because that's about a good half mile down the road there on the hill.
Yes.
And your address is on Bald Mountain, not Dutton.
Correct.
And anybody not familiar with the area would go, where the heck's this building at?
I honestly got lost the first time looking for it.
Yeah.
It took me through the backside and brought me up, and I'm like, where's the entrance?
Where would you guess that the majority of the traffic that sees your building travels?
Honestly, I believe it's gonna be on Dutton Road,
Both directions?
both directions. I don't know the traffic count.
Well, no, I wouldn't expect that you would, but I would have to second what Mr. Flood just said. It is a long sight line across from 24, and I don't know about a lot of you folks, but when I'm on 24, I've got bigger things to worry about than a sign that's sitting way out in the middle of the field. So I understand why you would want signage that is closer and in a traffic pattern. Personally, I do.
One question.
Go ahead.
If a motion is made on this, there should be a condition placed on it that those temporary banner signs have to be removed once this permanent sign is placed on that south elevation.
Yes.
And I think that's in violation
If
of,
such a sign is placed on the south elevation,
pardon me?
I said, if such a sign is placed on the
That's
south
what I
elevation.
was trying to say. If this is approved, then it wouldn't be that way. But I think it would be in violation of ordinance, the sign ordinance, having temporary banners on a building if they're not approved by the building department. Is that correct, Mr. Goodlow? I
Yeah,
know
we
we're-
allow temporary banners typically when we have newer businesses like this.
Yeah. And I know you're strictly enforcing that through the township now.
Yes.
That would be a condition of the, if it is approved, if it is approved. That's my comment.
If there's no further discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Well, let me check
Okay.
public comment first. Do we have anybody that came specifically to speak to this case? Yes. Come on up, introduce yourself. This gentleman will cede the mic to you.
We have,
Introduce yourself, please.
I'd like to remain anonymous because of the topic of this discussion.
Go ahead.
I work in the area, and this new building has plenty of signage that you guys already discussed. You can see it from M24 virtually. The sign is clearly visible where it's at, and people who are looking for this business are easy to find. It's nonstop traffic in and out of there. There's no shortage of people knowing where the business is at. We have rules for signage in this township for a reason. Everyone needs to comply with them. This business built this building in this area, knowing what the restrictions were, full understanding of what was legalities were involved. I don't see any reason to issue a variance to this. There's no public benefit for having additional signage on this place. Already, they can't comply with the temporary banners. There's banners covered on every corner of the building. There's lighting covered from top to bottom of the building. It's lit up more than most places are for Christmas. All the railings have lighting on it. There's just no need for additional variance on this signage issue.
Well, it is my memory that the temporary banners, we spoke of them at the last meeting, and it was that we would ask that the building department kind of stand down and relax on them a bit pending this today. If he got his permanent, the banners would go. And if he didn't get his permanent, it would be up to the building official to take whatever action he sees fit.
I would say that, again, there's, I think all signage areas you could possibly put signs are covered in this building. I don't know what the intent of the regulation is about lights. The lights themselves are obviously a distraction for people driving by themselves. Again, the railings, all the fencing, everything is covered with lighting to draw attention to the building. There's no shortage of attention for the building. I don't see any reason, again, there's no public benefit for issuing a variance on the sign regulations. And I think you should consider that as apparently the only public comment, but it's definitely a strong opinion in my case. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Ms. Naskis.
Again, I'm going to have my memory refreshed. Was there not a statement made about the lights and some change in those lights?
There was.
Reduction of the lights?
There was. Sir, do you recall? You were here.
Yeah, we said, once we go to put the second sign up, we will be removing all the Christmas lights. And they're supposed to actually, I don't know all the detail about it, but they were supposed to apply for a permit for them. So I don't know if they did or not. That was nothing with us. But I'm pretty sure from when I talked to Chris and everybody, they said they were gonna remove all the lights and all the banners once we get the second sign up.
Okay, Mr. Goodlow does not indicate that there's been any action on any permits as far as the lights. I would urge the board that if there is a motion made and it's designed to be positive, that there be a stipulation put in that the sign can't go up unless the lights come down. So we can handle that from this end. Because if it's still those green and red ones, I was over looking at a Kia here not long ago, and I knew what that building was all that way across the way from those lights. I don't know that those help, personally. It's just a statement. But I know you're not involved in it. I don't mean to shoot the
No,
message.
I understand, that's why I'm just
Okay.
listening to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Flood.
I'd like to address we don't look where, what a public benefit is. This board is in charge of what is the practical difficulty when we grant a variance. It's a non-use variance, too. We have nothing to do with uses. So it's all about practical difficulty. And I know there have been numerous commercial venues comes to this board asking for more than one wall sign when it comes to these, I'll call them small businesses, anywhere in this township.
That is true.
And we kind of, we do our due diligence. It's up to each one is based on its own merit, so just want to help the gentleman from the public understand how that works.
Thank you. Anything additional by the board? Ma'am?
In the matter of ZBA case AB-2023-05, Southfield Sign and Lighting for Joyology at 4898 Bald Mountain Road, tax number 09-35-477-003. I would move that the petitioner's request for one variance from the sign ordinance number 153, section 7, permitted ground and wall signs zoned IP, that a variance for one wall sign above the allowed one wall sign for a total of two wall signs totaling 133.34 square feet, south elevation, be denied for plans date stamped. The original application was March 9th, 2023, and supplemental information was date stamped April 11th, 2023, because the petitioner did not demonstrate that the following standards for variance have been met in the case, in that they were set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does not show particular difficulty due to the fact that the building on which the sign is proposed to be located is not unique to the property and is not related to general conditions in the area of the property. There are numerous other buildings in this vicinity that sit on a corner and do not have two wall signs. The following are not exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved in this and do not apply generally to others in the same district. Other buildings of a commercial nature in this area, for the most part, abide by the ordinance. The variance is not necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property right possessed by other properties in the same zone or vicinity based on the following facts, based on information I have received from the township. There are alternatives available to this client, this petitioner, that would allow for the property to be properly identified for traffic that is westbound on Dutton Road without the need for variances of any type, and would be more conducive to the area and would be less of a hindrance to traffic. The granting of the variance or modification will be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements of other zone or district in which the property is located, based on the fact that if you look at the aerial photos that have been submitted with the original application or with the subsequent one, you will note that as Dutton Road proceeds west towards M24 Lapeer Road, that it jogs at this building, it jogs slightly to the south, which takes the driver's eyesight away from the building. So a sign on the south, if I'm going west on Dutton and the building is over here, and this road, and this is the south side of the building, and the road veers off this way, my attention is directed this way. And if I'm looking over here, I got the potential to create a traffic accident. Therefore, I do not feel or believe that any wall sign on the south facade of the existing building meets the conditions. And further, as I have previously stated, there are alternatives available to provide identification to this building allowable in the existing sign ordinance that would not create a traffic hazard or any other impediment to traffic, and would provide the identification of the business to anyone driving west on Dutton Road.
Do we have support?
Support.
Okay. We have a motion by Mrs. Van Tassel and support by Mr. Walker. Discussion, further discussion by the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Joanne Van Tassel,
Yes?
Don Walker,
Yes.
Mike Flood,
No.
Dan Durham,
No.
Diane Danaskus, no. Motion fails.
The motion fails, which in effect grants the request of the petitioner. Is that true?
No, it is not.
You have to make, there has to be another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll ready to make a motion.
Please do. I've not run into this before.
Oh, we always have a couple times.
Okay.
Back with Lauren.
Okay, I don't doubt you.
I don't mean to laugh, but
No, not at all.
in the matter of ZB case AB 2023-05, re-advertisement of Southfield sign and lighting for Geology, 4898 Bald Mountain Road, Sidwell 0935477003. I would move that the petitioner's request for one variance from sign ordinance number 153, section 7, permitted ground and wall sign zoned IP Industrial Park. One, a variance for one wall sign above the allowed one wall sign for the total of two wall signs totaling 133.34 square feet south elevation be granted for plans date stamped April 11th, 2023, because the petitioner did demonstrate that the following standards for variances have been met in this case. They set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does show the following practical difficulties. Number one, due to unique characteristics of the property, this sits inside an industrial park at the extreme southeast corner, at the corner of Bald Mountain and Dutton Road. The following are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that not generally apply to other properties in the same district or zone. This is an exact southeast corner of the industrial park. There is no signage on the front of the building facing Dutton Road, which is a 50 miles an hour road. And if you're traveling west, you're coming down a hill. And looking from M24, it's approximately half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away. The variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property right possessed by other property in the same zone or vicinity based on the following findings of fact. As a fact, there are several buildings in that same vicinity that have more than one sign on their building. The granting of the variance or modifications will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or maternity interest to the property or to improvements in such zone or district in which the property is located based on the following facts. This is in a commercial zone. It's not even near the residential. Across the street is a commercial property of Auburn Hills. Further, based on the following findings of fact, the granting of this variance would not impair an adequate supply of light or air to adjacent properties due to being in the industrial park. It will not unreasonably increase the congestion in public streets. In fact, proper signage on any commercial building helps alleviate the confusion in the public streets. It will not increase the danger of fire and danger to public safety. The fire marshal in our packet has a statement, he has no concerns with this variance. It will not unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area. This is a commercial industrial park area, or in any other respect impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the Township of Orion.
I will offer support to the motion if the motion maker will consider putting a stipulation in that when the second sign goes up, the red and green lights come down.
I will amend that motion, plus also I want to amend it that if this is approved, that permanent siding on the south side, all the banners on that building, temporary banners, will be removed as a condition. Also.
Understood, thank you. You
You amend your second?
I will, thank you. I will amend the second to show the new information. Anything additional by the board? We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Flood with support by myself. Ms. Van Tassel.
I checked with the people in the planning department, and the sign ordinance allows a business to have a wall sign and a monument sign. If there was a monument sign there by the building, then traffic at that traveling west on Dutton would have a chance to see the identification of that building in time to turn onto Bald Mountain Road in order to turn into the parking lot there. It would not interfere with traffic. It would not provide a sight distance problem. It would be, in my opinion, enhancement and a far better way of advertising that business than putting up another sign on a south facade that would be extremely difficult for any traffic going west on Dutton Road to be able to see that sign on the south facade. To my recollection of travel through that area, there are only a couple of other buildings in that general vicinity that have two signs. One is Culver's and the other is in Auburn Hills at Fifth Third Bank. I then went through the industrial park, of which Joyology is a part, and discovered there's any number of businesses there that have a monument sign and a wall sign. To me, that is the predominant mode of buildings be identified in that area. To have two wall signs would be a difference from what is currently existing to other users in that area, in that industrial park.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Diane Danaskus, yes. Jan Van Tassel,
No.
Don Walker. No. Mike Flood,
Yes.
Dan Durham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. You have your sign with the stipulations that went into the motion. So,
I know, I wrote them down.
okay, good.
Remove all the red and green lights and all the temporary banners. So
would be
it'll
it.
only be the two signs, the one on the east side and the south side of the building.
What you asked for, or what they asked for in this request, it has been granted.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Next, and before I call the next case, we have some folks in the audience that was not here at the beginning, that were not here, excuse me, at the beginning. And we're going to hold public comment to a hard 3 minutes. And I am very much hoping we don't get bogged down because we have a very long agenda still in front of us. Thank you. Next case, AB 2023-06, Violetta Bilan at 2209 Indianwood Road, Sidwell, 09-04-300-002. Petitioner is seeking two variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned SF. This was postponed from the 10th of April meeting. Article 27, Section 27.02A8. Number one is a 2,185.16 square foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of detached accessory buildings of 1,000 square feet for existing sheds totaling 916.91 square feet, an existing carport of 448 square feet, a gazebo of, no, where I got lost someplace, an existing 448-foot gazebo, an existing 1,057 square foot barn, and an existing 763.25 square foot carport. Number two is a 1,685.16 square foot variance above the allowed total maximum floor area of all accessory buildings of 1,500 square feet for existing sheds totaling 916.91 square feet, an existing 448 square foot gazebo, an existing 1,057 square foot barn, and an existing 763.25 square foot carport. Do we have a petitioner? Come on up, introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Violetta Bilan. I'm the resident at 2209 Indianwood Road, Lake Orion.
Okay. First question I have is, how is tonight's request different from the last meeting's request?
So, at the time when we met, we understand that the zoning ordinance could not accommodate such a large variance. So right now, we asking that approval to maintain the same square footage of accessory buildings that were present when we initially purchased the property in 1998, which is 2,300 square feet. That was the square footage that, that was present at the time when we purchased 24 years.
Okay, and again, you are going to be a lot more clear on this than I am. I see that under remove or removing, they speak of a barn and a carport, yet in your request, it requests a barn and a carport.
So, I'm not sure. So can you repeat the request to remove?
In front of me here, I see a sheet that has keeping and remove or removing. Under remove or removing, the chicken coop is listed, shed A, shed C, carport, and barn. Those all are under a listing that says removing. But
Yes.
when I look at your request, it seems that you are still asking for them.
No, they all have been removed as we're speaking right now. We removed about 2,360 square feet of, we are in process, we removed all the sheds, A, B, and C. We removed the carport, and we're in the process of removing a barn. It's halfway down. So that's gonna total 2,360 square feet that we removed, that we will remove, hopefully it's gonna be by the end of maybe this week, depending how fast they're removing the barn. That's the only thing that's left to be removed.
Let me, if I may, interrupt you for one moment. Board members, do you see this application as different than the other one? I'm admittedly out to lunch here. Anybody?
I understood from the materials that that they don't need any more variance because they're within the total amount of space allowed for external buildings. Am I wrong? Maybe I read it incorrectly.
Mr. Flood?
The way I understand it, the applicant is keeping the gazebo, 448 square feet. They're keeping the log cabin, 266.04 square feet, which totals 704.04 square feet, which is allowable without having to get a variance. If and when they remove the chicken coop, shed A, shed C, carport, and barn, which totals 2,471.12 square feet.
Okay. But it appears that they're going to do this or in the process of doing it, but want a variance in case they don't have to do it? Does this variance that I'm looking at here?
I don't understand it that way. The way I look at it, and in our packet, is we have two options, either to deny, or approve or deny the original variance, or the petitioner can request to have it withdrawn. And then if they want to come in for future variances for some other additional buildings they want to put on property, they have to go through the whole process again of going through planning and zoning and paying the fee and having it advertised.
May I
Because we've gotten in that before, where they start changing things here, and we get all confused, I mean, we don't know,
Give me one more second, you're next.
I mean, this is, we've gone down that avenue before.
Okay, but what I'm trying to get at, and I may be confused, it appears that what we're being asked to vote on is the big number for the buildings that are currently on the site.
As if they'd never been removed.
Yes,
Is that your intake?
that is what it looks
Okay.
like to me.
That's, I think we're on the same page.
Do you see?
It looks like the exact same request that was presented the first time to me.
And that's why I'm curious why this time would be different.
And I apologize for my voice,
No,
but
not at all.
I thought that the reason for the adjournment was to give the petitioner time to regroup and modify the request, but it seems to be the request is back exactly as it was.
I think so too. Ms. Van Tassel, do you have anything for this?
I see, and I'm going with this sheet that was handed out tonight, and the stuff that's in red indicating it and crossed through that it was being eliminated, but now they talk about keeping the carport and the barn, and trying to do some quick math here. Just a minute, let me. She's allowed 1,000 square feet, and if you add back the carport and the barn, the total square footage with what's indicated being kept, the gazebo and the log cabin, you come up with a total of 2,534.29 square feet. And the numbers would be the same where they allow the maximum square foot of all accessory structures. They allow 1,500. So in one case, she needs 1,534.29 square foot variance, and in the other, she would need 1,034.29 square feet variances based on what I've heard tonight. So I think it's still confusing.
Mr. Goodloe, can you help us with this at all?
I think yes, applicant, whether she wants to move forward with the variance requested there or not. I think it's quite simple.
Okay, ma'am, now I interrupted you, now it's your turn, I apologize.
So on May 10th, I sent an email to Lynn, who I understand prepares these requests for the board, and she asked me to clarify, the revisions I'm looking for. So I said, back then, 12 days back, I said, we took down the carport, all 3 sheds, and are in the process of removing the barn. We purchased the property in December of 1998 with 2,360 square feet accessory buildings, and we want to maintain the same square footage of accessory buildings. So that's where we are at right now. That's my understanding. That's what we were, hoping to discuss today.
When I
I'm
was
not
at,
asking for more, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay, go ahead.
We're not asking for more, we're asking for a status quo that we had for the past 24 reasons, and one of the reasons why we purchased, because, we had all these, accessory buildings. We're not asking for any changes.
When I was at your property, I couldn't tell that anything had changed.
When was the last time you?
Oh, it's been a week probably back. When we first got the packet, I went out almost the same day.
It's been down. I mean, I don't know, maybe you looked at the different, property with all the respect. It's been down for, there's no gazebo, there are no sheds. No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. There are no sheds and no carport. The beautiful carport is gone. The beautiful old historical barn, it's halfway demolished. So I'm not sure how you have not seen. The only thing that's left is log cabin and a gazebo. And then now, we're in a position where we now still need structures to be able to protect our property. Right now, the place looks disaster, because everything is out in the open. I'm sure, it's covered with the, foil to protect our property.
Okay, you've been listening to the talk here at the dais. It appears that the same ordinance, or the same variance that you requested the first time you came in has been represented to this board.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I am too, because I'll speak for myself, but I believe that, I know for myself, I don't like to play these on the fly. I like to have hard numbers so that you know what you're asking for and so that we know what we're granting or not granting, as the case may be.
I agree.
I don't know, and board members, please step in if I get off the line. I don't know that we can do anything that you want to have done based on the information in front of us.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Danaskis.
Is it Bilan?
Yes.
Correct. So let me clarify. You've taken down the barn, the 2 sheds, and the carport.
Yes.
The only outside structures, detached structures, are the gazebo and the cabin. Those keep you within what's allowed for external buildings. You're not, if that's all that's there now, you're within the rules of this township with regards to how much square footage you have in external buildings. It sounds as though you still want to add a different building. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What is the building that you wish to?
Because I have a speech here all prepared, so I can try to explain. It's, so here.
So you wish to construct another building,
We
correct?
have no choice, we have no place to store the structure, so we asking to allow us to maintain the 2,360 square feet that we had before.
I understand, I do.
All we asking, we're not asking for any modification, we're not asking for any changes, we're asking you to grant us, to allow us to enjoy and have the same square footage we had for the past 2 decades, 2.5 decades. That's all I'm asking. Not asking you for more, not asking you for less.
So it would be my understanding, and I need the board to help me here, that you would need to bring to us a new application, because now you want to construct something different and do something different than this motion originally requested. So you need to go back and complete a request that includes the dimensions of the building that you wish to add to the property.
Okay. I appreciate you pointing this out. Nevertheless, I don't want to go through the process because I don't know what I'm working with right now. All I'm asking you is please give me the 2,360. I would have never been there. I mean, if I've never put up that carport, I would never been here. The 2,360 would be still there, right? So like, but there have been so many things, and I don't know, we can talk about it, that, how my property was affected. None of the changes that I'm dealing with right now is self-generated. It's all generated because of the subdivision around us, because we had all the water that was coming to us, and it prematurely degraded our storage spaces, which is the I don't know how much you remember. So none of it is self-created. I'm not here because any of the neighbors complained.
Ma'am,
it's just getting upset.
I understand, but you have to see it from up here too. The information that was given to us to vote on for or against tonight is wrong.
Okay?
By your own words, it's wrong. And also by your own words, you're not, even you don't know exactly what it is you want right
I know
now.
exactly what I want. I
You-
know the 2,360 square feet. I know exactly what I want. I don't want more, I don't want less. I
So
want what I had for the past 2.5 decades.
the part about putting another building in,
We are in this predicament because I had over 3,000 square feet, right? We were,
excuse me, Mr. Goodlow,
So she wants 2,000, how much?
2,360 square feet at the time of the purchase.
Yeah, well, you know, this variance request is only for 2,185 square feet. We cannot just go up with this. Now,
No.
and I see how she insists that we have it. Now, I could pull up the map from, I just want to bring this to the board's attention. This is the property in 2014, right here, if you look at your screen. You can see, this is when this structure, and then if you go forward, there's a thing here. So if you go back to 2005, it's quite a different story. So you can see these other structures didn't pop up. So fact is, these structures were put in after the fact, and if they're taken down and they're non-conforming, you can't just put them back up because of that, right? You know, if it's not conforming, take it down, it can't be put up unless the variance is granted by this board. But I just, you know, this whole 2,300 square feet is higher than what we advertised for, so if she does want to go for a higher variance, then that's the case. Now, we did go out there today, and I do see they are disassembling the barn. I didn't see the carport being disassembled, but looks like they're disassembling the barn. So, obviously, I think a good plan would be needed to, if she wants that 2,000, that's something that this board can't grant tonight. So
No.
if she wants a lesser variance, you can go with a lesser variance, Violetta. Well, you can't go up, so you can go down as long as it's lesser, or you can vote on what was presented here.
Can I ask my husband what he thinks?
why don't you take, ma'am, why don't you take a break and I'll have
Okay.
public comment come up for a minute.
Okay.
If there's anybody in the audience that came to speak to this matter, come on up.
So before I go, David, could you tell me what was put in for this meeting? 2,100?
2,185 square feet,
85.
variance above the allowed for detached, and then 1,685 for above of all accessory buildings for floor area.
So in other words, so I can understand, help me understand.
Yeah, so-
Total 2,185.
Yeah, so we're
Total.
allowed 1,000 square feet
Okay,
accessory building.
okay.
So you're asking for
2,185.
above that.
Okay, all right, that's good, thank you.
Come on up, young lady.
I'm their neighbor. I was here last time.
Could you introduce yourself?
Chris Broquet, 110 South Newman. I'm right across the street from them on Newman Road.
Thank you.
And I think that she's explaining it backwards. She's asking you for square footage based on what they want to do versus, it's not a simplified statement. This is basically what they want to do. They've removed the barn, they've removed everything except the gazebo and the log cabin. Somebody got the carport, somebody bought the barn that's going up north. Everything's gone except those two things. Basically, what they want to do is just get a garage. That's what they want to do. So she's trying to figure out what square footage is acceptable to you to tell her how big her garage can be. But if you know it's a garage, then you could say, okay, there's no carport, there's no two-story barn, there's no chicken coop, there's no shed, there's no this, no that. That's what they want to do. So whether they have to go back and pull a permit and see if they can do a garage, whether it used to be attached to the barn, but it fell down during a storm.
Okay, I see what's.
So that's the whole gist of it. They would like, because they got rid of their carport, which replaced the garage, and logically, they had a garage, so they should be able to put one up. But the garage is gone, the two-story barn is gone, the chicken coop's gone, the other shed's gone, another shed's gone. So those are the only two things, plus they just want a garage to stick their cars in, that's it. And they're willing to give up their barn, which they love, to be able to do that.
I think I got it then. So obviously, if she's asking for 2,300 square feet, she's asking for 1,300 square foot variance instead of a 2,185. So she would be bringing her variance request down if that's what she's saying. She's saying she wants 2,300 square foot total.
Well, she's just giving you a number, hoping that you'll prove a number so she can have her gazebo in the log cabin and a future garage. But that, I guess it doesn't work that way. She has to tell you what she's doing so you can say,
Exactly.
yeah, she's not gonna just put up all these other buildings again and just replace them. It's just gonna be a garage. It's not gonna be attached to the barn like it was when they moved there, because the barn's gone. And being that the two-story barn, and you were counting both stories of square footage, that's gonna bring their square footage down. And like I say, all the little sheds, all the little this and that buildings, everything that's out, the barn, the garage will allow them to put their vehicles in the garage. They might have, maybe one out with their trailer, whatever, but the majority of things, and then whatever yard work stuff will be in the garage.
Okay, so Dan, what I'm seeing is that it's a 1,300 square foot variance above the allowed 1,000.
What size is that garage?
Well, they were thinking of a 3-car garage, but I guess we'll find out. I guess they'll find out, but that's their,
It's not like voting on things that.
I'll wait till after public comment, then I'll be recognized.
okay. Sorry. I hope that clears it up a little
Yes, thank you.
about what's going on. And then maybe if you could tell her that whether it needs to be voted on tonight or she has to go to zoning and figure out, okay, what kind of, after we get rid of all this stuff, what kind of, can I have a garage, how big it can be, and then before they build it, they can come to you and say, okay, does this fit in within what we have, I mean, right now also, it might look a little messy because they're still finishing replacing the fence that the snowplow came into, so that's another thing. But they've been working pretty diligently. I think there's a little left over on the carport, maybe the pylons or something. And then the barn, as you see, it's going away. The shed's gone, chicken coop's gone, all that stuff's gone now, so. So if you have any other questions for me, otherwise I will take my seat.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Do we have anybody else for public comment? Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Flood.
thank you, young lady, for clarifying that.
Thank you for translating into English for me.
Sitting- Oh, no, that's okay. We understand completely.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
trying to help you and work with you.
I appreciate it.
But we do not, as a board, make the recommendations to the applicant on what they can build on their property, the square footage and everything. That's their job to come to us, and they will go through the planning and zoning department and figure this all out. What I have before me, it comes down to two things right now for me, just speaking for myself. Either a approval or denial of the original variance that they postponed on, or because they have met the, below the required variance, as long as they remove that barn. It's a withdrawal. There's a motion in our packet for that, but it's up to the applicant to wish that. I will not be in favor of granting anything outside of what I see before me on these two items. I'm not going to take a guessing game or help an applicant say what they can build, what they can't build.
Ms. Van Tassel.
A couple of things, and this is for clarification. In your folder tonight, you had this document that shows the things that are staying, the gazebo and the log cabin, and everything else is to be removed. It would be helpful if whoever prepared this document had indicated it was prepared by, Susie Smith or whoever. So then we would know the source of the information, whether it came from the applicant or it came from somewhere else. The second is an observation.
From Lynn Harrison, says right there.
And the observation is, we've got an open application to grant variances that was held over so the applicant could decide what they wanted to keep and what they were willing to have go bye-bye. And what we're hearing tonight, if I understand what I think I heard, is the stuff they were willing to have go bye-bye has gone bye-bye, but in its place, they want to amend their application for variance to include 2 new structures, the square footage for which we don't know exactly what they are. And so the choice, in my opinion, before the Board of Appeals tonight is to allow her to go back and clarify her variance request, or deny the original request, which we set over. And if she wants to put additional structures on the property, apply for a new variance. So either you're gonna let her go back and modify this. The other thing, it would have been helpful if, as part of the packet, the Zoning Board of Appeals members got a copy of what was advertised, so you would know what was advertised in the newspaper for this meeting tonight, which might clarify some of the,
There was no change.
what?
There was no change. That's why it wasn't re-advertised. There was no change.
How do we know it wasn't re-advertised? They re-advertised the sign dude.
No, they didn't re-advertise it.
Yes, they did.
There was an error.
Oh, that was an error on this, because it was printed wrong. It should have been South City East. You're correct. That was,
Because I asked for a copy of the ad. That's why I know that it was
that
advertised.
was an error on the applicant's part of putting the wrong direction. This one here, there was no change.
Mr. Goodlow, you have something?
So Lynn did a great job of prepping me for this.
Yeah, it's
I
right here, Lynn
kinda
Harrison.
figured out what you do, because, what you see here is basically what's advertised, and that's this right here. But, so, the applicant, this board has been precedent by lessering variances. By, if somebody came in with a 2,300 square foot barn, the board has seen to come down on those numbers. Now, the problem with, I think, Violetta, with your case is you're not giving, like a lot of times they'll say, well, I'm just gonna build my barn smaller. So instead of a 60 by 30 barn, I'm gonna build a 20 by 40. So I think what you need to do is clarify what you wanna do. Like, if you wanna keep the carport or keep the barn, then you can lessen your variances. Because it looks like from what I hear, you said, 2,300 square feet is what you wanted
Total,
where, when you bought the property.
yes.
So that would put you at, with, 1,300 square feet above the allowable detached accessory building. So that gives you basically 714 minus 13, so you're looking at that number right there.
Understand?
You understand?
Understand?
So so you'd be asking for, your gazebo, your shed, and something that's roughly
Right.
700 square feet to get you to that number where you want it to be. Now, if you wanted to just keep the carport, because I know you do, yeah, that hasn't been removed yet. You might want to petition to this board, we got rid of that, all we're asking for is to keep the shed, the gazebo, and the carport, and we eliminate the rest, and you move forward. Otherwise, I suggest you listen to them and go back to, listen to Joanne, and go back to zoning, figure out exactly what you want, but that would be a question for them.
Mr. Goodlow, since you've been prepped and I haven't, the garage that they've all spoke of that's out there somewhere in this, is it gonna require her to come back anyway for a variance?
It's over 300 square feet, you know, it's over 286 square feet, yeah.
Okay, so the fact that that is out there, maybe in the wind someplace,
Yeah.
doesn't particularly concern you now?
No, go ahead. Yeah, no.
Just for further clarification for the applicant. Any variance that we grant travels with the property, it stays with the property, not with you as the owner, but with the property. My question is, when the structures that accumulated to cause the variance are torn down, the variance itself doesn't remain, does it? Isn't it restricted to those buildings?
Stays with the land.
Stays with the land, but
Forever.
is the total square footage stay with the land?
Whatever the variance is, it stays with the property. If you give a person 2,000 extra 2,000
Okay.
square feet, it stays with that land forever.
Okay,
They can tear a building down and still put another building up
Okay.
or a structure.
all right,
That's your question, right?
Got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It goes with the land, yeah,
okay.
forever, yeah. Perpetuity, in perpetuity, or call it.
So what I'm hearing is that you cannot advise me what I want to build. Also, at the same time, you don't care what, what I'm going to build. The only thing you can approve the variance for is the square footage. That's all I'm asking for. Once I get the variance, and I'll work with the building department, and I'll do whatever they tell me. If I'm going to get the variance for, like David's saying, what is it, 1,200, whatever that is, I'll be more than happy, and I don't have to come back. If we can get it at today, and then I'll work with the building department to figure out, for our storage, whether it's gonna be one shed and a one garage, or, I'll work with them.
Okay, I get to make this statement because I can't make motions, and because I can't make motions, I don't have any direct impact on what you do. One person, one statement. I believe it is in your best interest, in the board's best interest, for you to take this back and do your figuring across the desk at the zoning and planning department. Have them put it down, bring it back here for a meeting date that we can give you before you leave, and have hard paper that you're happy with, and that we will like it or we won't, but at least we'll have hard numbers. That is just my thought. If one of my fellow board members elects to make a motion, I'll certainly vote on it. But I believe there's too much paper up in the air right now. There's just too much confusion. But that's just me. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Flood?
With this, way this is right now, without ever being changed, not being re-advertised, it's what's before us right now. I don't want to see this thing just go on and on and on and on and on. To me, it's going to be a new application.
Possibly.
It's going to have to be re-advertised. This will not be a part of this. If we do a postponement, we're back to square one where we are tonight, without some fresh data, without a public notification.
Understood. The one thing that I would like to see is the hard numbers and somebody that can verify what is now gone and what is there, as far as buildings. Because I came from the school, don't tell me what you're gonna do, show me what you did. And that is kind of playing into this too.
I'm prepared to make a motion to help clear this thing up.
Right?
Ma'am?
So I appreciate you wanting to get a motion. What I'm hearing Mr. Flood saying is that I have to or whatever, dismiss the motion, and I'm gonna have to apply again. I have no problem applying again. The problem I have is the fee that it comes with. So I think it's unfair for me to have to pay an additional fees just because there was a miscommunication between me and then, the township putting the information out to you, whatever, the township putting the information out to you. So I have no problem applying, but I really feel it's unreasonable to ask me for pay the fees again.
Three of you sitting up here are far more experienced in this than I am. I will listen to anything you've got to say.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Walker.
I would not vote yes or no on any kind of motion that granted a variance that I don't know the dimensions of. I wouldn't do it for my daughter. I'm not gonna do it for you. It's not that I don't trust you, but I've sat here for 20 years doing this. I've never said, oh, build whatever you like, and then we'll be good with that. You come to us and tell us what you want to build, and then we'll tell you if it's okay. But the building department will work with you so that it is okay.
I feel that Mr. David Goodlow understands exactly what I'm trying to do. And all what we need to do is get a variance approved. And then I'll work with the, building department to build exactly what, I'm not gonna go over.
You're putting the horse before the cart. It's the other way around. He has no authority to grant you any kind of variance. I'm not gonna grant you any kind of variance for something that I don't know what it is. You're gonna build a new garage of around 2,100 or something like that. You don't get my vote. I'm telling you right now.
So what I can do, so we have 700 of accessory buildings. I'm asking for 23, so we're talking about 1,400 of additional structures, which is be one building, one garage, and maybe one more shed, so two
Ma'am,
buildings.
let me interrupt you. The young lady would like to come back up behind you there. And she may be able to clarify some things. Come on up. Reintroduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chris Broquet again from 110 South Newman Road. Wes had just said that they do have the square footage of what they'd like for the garage, which is 1,000 square feet, plus the little log cabin, plus the gazebo. So I don't know if that calculates to her 2,300 square feet or not, but that's what he just was saying. So they do know what the plan would be, the dimensions would be of the garage if they were able to put it up. So.
Thank you.
All the other buildings are gone.
Thank you. It's up to the pleasure of the board. I believe we need to move forward. I don't know that there's anything to be gained by
If I know when this
infinite more further discussion.
thing was date stamped, where's our minutes?
Ms. Van Tassel.
Okay, I've just heard that they now are seeking a garage of 1,000 square feet, which means they need a variance for what's existing out there of 714.08 square feet. But I also know that when you go to build something, that when they construct stuff, they have to work in certain segments, like they build on 16-inch centers, for instance, things like that. And maybe 1,000 square foot sounds about what they want, but when they dimension it out, it comes out to 1,010.2 square feet. So to grant a 1,000-foot variance on the IFCOM, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. And I remember what my father said, and he says, you never bet on the IFCOM. So I think it would be dangerous for us to try to say, okay, we understand what you, and we'll give you a 1,000 square foot variance on the detached accessory building and a 500 square foot variance on all accessory structures. To me, that's asking to bet on the IFCOM, and it gets us all into trouble. So I think her options are one, and it ought to be her choice tonight, to take her original request back to the planning department, talk to them and talk to the building department about the dimensions of what she wants for a specific something, be it a garage or a barn or a whatever. And then re-advertise with changed dimensions on her variance request. That's one option. The other option is to say, no, I'm going to start all over from scratch with a new variance request, and account for what's there and what I want to add to what's there. To me, that's her choice.
Mr. Goodlow?
So if you have a building, Violetta, that's 1,000 square feet, right? You'd be then, your request would be modified to 714 square feet above the allowed. So that's a minimal request. What I would recommend, because you don't have to advertise if you go in for a lesser variance, is you could formally ask the board to postpone.
Okay,
And you can come in, and I can walk you through it.
Okay.
Lynn is great to work with, she can just kind of tell you, but get an idea of where you want to put it, where you want to sit at the property, that way if the board members want to go out and see it.
okay,
It's a lot better when they have eyes on it, they do, you know, they don't like just making on whims. Well, I understand, you know, if you would have came in and said, you know what, I want to keep the barn and get rid of everything else, I think this would have been a lot shorter of a conversation piece, but and that's similar kind of what you're asking to do, they just don't know where it is. So
Right.
that's my suggestion.
Okay.
You know, otherwise you would have to, if you know, either get denied tonight or have a vote, and you'd have to re-advertise if you do go back, to save the time.
I like to do that.
Mr. Flood?
Chairman, we've already postponed this from April 10th. I expected to see that information here before me tonight. I mean, there's a lot of confusion with this. So now we're going to ask postpone again,
I
and
understand.
it won't be advertised because it's going to be a less, but I thought we gave the applicant the opportunity to do it this time. Are we going to be setting a precedence that something like this happens further down the road? Hey, wait, I want postpone, postpone, postpone. I don't feel comfortable on that.
Mr. Naskis?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I understand your concerns, Mr. Flood. I think in this case, there was a misunderstanding of what had to be done to prepare for tonight's meeting and how this should have been documented or written. And so, you know, due to that fact, and we have granted postponements on, you know, more than one occasion for more than one time. I would like to give the applicant a chance to clarify with Lynn and the team and come back to us with, you know, a clear understanding of what she wants.
Anything further from the board on this particular matter? Mr. Naskis?
Just based on the memo that we've gotten from Lynn Harrison, the dates available for postponement are June the 26th or July 10th.
Now, that's up to the applicant to request a postponement. Brett.
Well, I think that in essence is what she's been getting at and what we've been talking about, and I thought that was what Diane alluded
I thought we
to.
were talking about square footage and do this, do that, and let's try to take care of that tonight.
All right, let's ask the applicant, what is it you'd like to do, ma'am?
I would like to postpone and work with, you know, building department and zoning, and provide you with a clear picture of what I'm asking. So I apologize for, you know, the miscommunication.
To kind of tag along with what Mrs. Danaskis said, I see this both ways. I see absolutely what Mr. Flood is concerned with, but I would also look at this as somewhat special circumstances. Am I right that English is not your very favorite language?
No, well, I like it. I mean, I've been here for.
Okay. There's a little bit of confusion at the base of it, and then it gets worse as time goes out. I very much thank the young lady there that was able to come up and give us some spin in a positive, clear degree or area with this. But you're telling us that you would like to move it back, correct?
Yes,
But when you come back, make very sure you know what it is we have here.
okay,
If you have to talk to Lynn the day before the meeting and say, okay, what are you giving them? Make sure you know and you're happy with it.
okay,
That should do exactly what Mr. Goodlow said. It should take this 40 minutes that this always takes and gel it down to 10 minutes of questions, get your statement, and yes or no. So I'm hearing from the applicant that she would like to bring this back, and as Mrs. Van Tassel said, the first date available would be June 26th,
Fine, that's perfectly fine, that's good.
okay? That would be, a motion would be required by the board, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. If we have nothing further up here, we can stand for a motion on this.
Go ahead, Joanne.
Van Tassel.
At the petitioner's request, I move to postpone, oh my goodness, I never should have put my glasses away. ZBA case 2023. Just a minute. AB 2023-06, Wyletta Byland at 2209 Indianwood Road, parcel ID 09-04-300-002, be postponed to the June 26, 2023 ZBA meeting.
I have a motion by Mrs. Van Tassel, supported by Mrs. Danaskis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mike Flood,
No.
Don Walker,
Yes.
Joanne Van Tassel,
Yes.
Diane Danaskus, yes. Dan Durham.
Yes. See you on the 23rd.
Thank you.
26.
26th, I'm sorry. 23rd is the year.
Yeah.
June 26th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next case, AB,
Excuse me, if I might interrupt,
yes.
I'm off
Yes.
for the rest of your cases, and your regular, distinguished Tony Cook will
Thank
now be here, and things will maybe go much more expeditiously.
You'll be back on June 26th. Joanne, you'll be back on the 26th of June to hear this case.
Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
You got it.
Thank you. As stated, Ms. Van Tassel, who heard the first two cases when they were here previously, had to come back tonight. Mr. Cook is our normal board member, and he's here with us for the rest of the cases. AB 2023-09, Seat Salimi, vacant parcel, Sidwell 09-10-380-017, one parcel west of 900 Walnut Avenue, adjacent to Pine Avenue. Petitioner seeking one variance from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R3. Article 6, Section 6.04, a 20-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet to build a house 10 foot from the property line along Pine Avenue. Introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, my name is Sayed Salimi, I'm the owner of the parcel. Now,
Now, you're one of those folks that are stuck with two front yards because you front on two pieces of property.
correct, and
Although the one street, to call that a street is kind of a stretch, but I guess they do.
that's what I was told, so that's what I went with, so.
So which face, if we're looking at the property, if we're standing in the road looking straight into it,
So I need it's kind of hard to, not hard to explain, but it comes, the middle part it's like a thoroughway or something, so Pine Avenue either comes up this way or Walnut comes up this way, but it's like right on the curve right there. So I don't know if that's Pine or,
the only thing that I saw about that property that I was wondering about is it seems like it's got high ground on both sides of it.
so that's the other issue, is the water doesn't just square off at the back, it comes up the property, so I need to be 50 feet from that water's edge for the septic field, which would be, that's why I need the variance, is because I won't have the 50 feet for it. I mean, I can, if you want me, I can walk up there and talk or whatever. I don't,
So the variance is so that you can fit your septic field in the proper place.
correct.
Thank you, board members.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Flood?
do you know what the road right-of-way is right there?
The width or?
Because your property line is going to go up to the road right-of-way. Now, some properties go to the center of the road, too.
So if you look on this that I had, the engineers did, they have the 10-foot for Pine Avenue, and if you go up or come down, however, on that, like, they say 30-foot.
There's a 30-foot road right-of-way there on Pine Avenue there, then.
I mean, they have it on the, like, 30-foot wide, right?
Yeah, so you,
But it's, I don't think it's 30
and
foot.
his property line actually goes up to that 30-foot road right-of-way. So he would still be 40 feet off the road right-of-way. He'd be 10 feet off the road right-of-way. This request. You still have a 30, what I'm concerned about, sight line. Anytime you put a structure on any kind of corner property, if you restrict the sight line for a vehicle traveling, they can't see around that corner. And that's why I asked what the road right-of-way was, because you can figure that square footage in for your line of sight.
Okay.
Did I make myself clear on that? Or?
Yeah, I understand now.
That's my only concern is the line of sight.
Okay.
Mr. Goodloe, he's very familiar with that. Nice piece of property you got there.
Thank you.
You don't catch water runoff from the street as a whole in the spring, do you?
No.
Because that looked kind of like a downspout, that property there with high ground on both sides of it. I was wondering if water came in from the sub.
No, I never get water on my property, like never flood or anything, or
Good.
it's never been soggy, it's never been flooded out. Or never had a problem getting on the property.
While the board members are thinking it over, do we have anybody in the audience who came specifically to speak to this? Come on up, introduce yourself. This gentleman will take a quick break.
Yeah, my name is Elmer Calakum. I live on Walnut Street there. It's a kitty corner right straight across from where he is. And I was wondering on that Pine Avenue, where his driveway is gonna be, and because I know the people down there and stuff, and I think I'm the only one that is from that area there. And I'm just wondering where his driveway was gonna come out. And I know you're talking about 30 feet for a road, but the lot line that it says is within probably about 5 feet from the road right now. Understand what I'm talking about?
I think
So
so.
when you go up over the hill, okay, he's got a marker there. That is within probably 5 feet of the road, to the road. So he's gonna have 10 feet on the other side of it. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm not certain. Is somebody following, Mr. Goodloe? Are you tracking this?
I was just thinking, I mean, the road's probably encroached onto that property, I'm assuming that's what you're saying.
Do what?
The road actually creeped its way closer to that property line, so you're saying the road center is not quite where it is? Kinda how I'm following it. I'm gonna try to find it out.
Right, actually, if the marker is where they took and they, ran the, survey down to, that is within about 5 feet of the road. That goes at Pine Avenue. It goes up over the hill and then down through. They have a lot of traffic there, and I'm just curious where his gonna be road, if he's gonna have an exit coming off of it, and, this kind of stuff.
Okay. We'll ask him when he gets back up.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying, you know, we aren't ever gonna make that road wider. Because if you are, you're gonna have to make the people on both sides give up property. So it's gonna always be a one-lane highway. So, and it goes down, pardon me, it goes down and turns around, and it's the subdivision's got a park down there. There used to be the swimming pool down there at the end. So, okay, that's my thing, I just wondered where it was at, because I know the people up and down there, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll try to get you some answers. Do we have any further public comment? Seeing,
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Flood?
Geez, I was just out there. I think Walnut Road is a county road. It's a green sign I thought I saw. I think it's a road commission street, Walnut. No Pine Tree is for sure. I don't know if Pine Avenue, is that a private road or is that also a county road?
Right away. It looks like it's either owned by the sub or the road, if you look on the map over there.
Yeah,
You can see the property line here.
Yeah.
That means it's not owned by this piece or that piece. If it was, it would go meet the same. So it's either owned by the subdivision, is the sign green out there?
So the county comes, I'm sorry to interrupt, the county, you're asking, does come through and like grade the
Yeah.
the road.
do they plow it and grade it?
The county trucks come and grade the road.
Both of them, Pine Avenue and Walnut?
I'm gonna say I've never seen Pine Avenue
Okay.
graded.
I'm just curious.
No, I honestly, I've never seen the trucks come through there.
Actually, the Walnut ends at my fence, at my lot.
And that's a county road.
Yeah, it's county road now, yeah, we got
I was curious about Pine Avenue, if it was a county road or not.
The neighbors on Pine Avenue pay to plow that.
Isn't county road.
Is or isn't?
It's not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Just curious.
And to the gentleman's question, the driveway will come off of not Pine Avenue, it'll come off like where the cursor is, more to the right.
A Walnut?
Kind of like, yeah, like the other neighbor's driveway. Come off, yeah.
Yep.
Sir, when I was out there, there was a cone that was placed there. What was the purpose of that cone?
There used to be like 3 lots or cabins or whatever, and there's a pipe there, so I just put the cone on top of that, so if you drive over, you don't run over the pipe.
So from the standpoint of kind of knowing where you're going to put this, you just mentioned that it's a septic, but nowhere in your application does it contain anything about that. And so from that standpoint, from that cone, that's roughly, probably what, 15 feet in?
No, the cone is, from the marker on the utility pole is, I want to say it's like 32 feet.
What's helpful for me in these situations is if you mark out what you want. Do you have a design of any sort?
I have a different, something changed because of the water, and I did not get a chance to give the updated plot plan or like the one I think was pulled up, is different.
That's the plot plan, but any structural?
Yeah, it has the structure on there and the septic field on there. I can show you or hand it to you or whatever I don't. Nope, I get it.
Okay. And then I was also looking at your neighbor's deck. Is that slightly encroaching on you a little bit?
From his house?
Yes, sir. Yes, right in there.
No, I mean, I've never, like, I'm gonna say no. I did not exactly go look exactly down the line or whatever, but I would assume it's not.
Okay. And that's your boat that's out there, kind of tucked in the trees?
Yes. And the other one's in the water.
That's what I wasn't
Okay.
sure whose boat that was.
Yeah.
And that answers my question, because plans take into account the septic fill, your plans take into account this variance being granted.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The only piece that I just don't like is the fact that I didn't get to see those.
Okay.
prior to this coming to us.
If you want to adjourn, I can come back in June. I know you don't like to do that.
I'm just one.
No, I get it. I've had the property for 8 years, so I'm in no rush. If I have to wait till June or July, it's not gonna, maybe the interest rates will be lower at that time. I don't know.
Good luck.
So are you gonna be able to, is it gonna be up in the front so you won't have to worry about that wetlands like that?
No, I won't have to worry about the wetlands.
You're gonna be up in the front here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it'll be kind of like where that utility pole is, like mainly like on top of the hill, like where the property goes up, and then right before it comes down in that area right there.
Mr. Chairman, looking at that map too, it's kind of unique on that property. It's not exactly a 90-degree angle. It's kind of like a 45 cuts across the front of this property there, which is kind of a
So
unique.
that's the road, or, to be honest with you, I didn't even know that was a road. I thought it was my property originally.
Yeah. And then also, lost my train of thought on that. Oh, another practical difficulty is too, and we get this quite a bit, is when you have these corner lots, they have 2 front yard setbacks. Because you're on a corner.
Yes, sir.
So that's why they're so wide. But a lot of that's to do too with that line of sight. You want to make sure you get that structure back far enough where you're not impeding a traffic or a pedestrian walking there.
The structure should be where the other house is, the neighbor's house, should be
Kind
basically.
of line with that,
Yes, sir.
those mountains of the state a little bit. I agree with Mr. Cook on that too. We'd like to go out and see things.
Yes, sir, I understand.
That's all I got.
Anything additional by the board members? If not, we can turn towards a motion if somebody's so inclined.
Clarifying question.
Okay, Mr. Cook.
Sir, you just mentioned that, well, we'll phrase it a different way. Knowing what you know about the placement of the road now, do your plans take that into account, that that's not your property?
No, I think I'll probably have to get another variance probably now.
Okay, that's to clarify.
Which I have no problem paying for the variance and coming back here for that if it's different. That's my mistake.
So you're telling me even if you're successful tonight, you won't be able to move forward?
More than likely looking at that, yeah, probably not.
How will you determine?
Well, I'll have to check I'll have to look on I will probably need a variance for that front road for Walnut, if that's Walnut. I was assuming it was Pine Avenue. So, like I said, it's my mistake. I have no problem paying the variance fee again to come back here in June, if there's enough cases.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Walker.
my only concern is that if we grant a variance, then he comes back again for a variance on the variance. That might be an issue.
No, I will need the variance on that side of the Pine Avenue.
Well, then it might be better if you could wait and just do it all at one time for your sake.
Okay. Like I said, I've had it for 8 years. Another month or two is not gonna do anything different for me.
Because that would increase, your variance request would be an increase.
Yes, sir.
So,
Because if that's Walnut, then I'll need 2 variances.
exactly, so we couldn't,
Better to deal with that all at once.
Whatever you guys, I know you're not supposed to suggest, but
So would a postponement to a date certain be in order?
I think you got to re-advertise and everything on this one.
yeah, because I'll have to,
It's-
I'm asking for another variance.
It was just like exactly what the other, well,
I'm
So do we make?
okay with that.
We make motions on this to pass it as read or deny, and once he's denied, he comes back with everything?
And you just withdraw it?
Or you can withdraw it.
Yeah, I think
Just
we'll-
reapply?
Excuse me?
That way he's not being denied anything.
That's true, too. Denial's never a positive.
No, a withdrawal would be probably more advantageous to him.
Your pleasure, sir.
The withdrawal is worse for me, or,
Better.
No.
Better.
okay,
Withdrawal, you realize that there's an issue, and you literally want to take a step back and regroup.
okay. And then just reapply? Okay.
Does that require a motion by this board?
I think it would.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Then ask us.
In the matter of AB 2023-09, seat Selene, I hope I pronounced that.
That's okay.
Vacant parcel 09-10-380-017, one parcel west of 900 Walnut Avenue, adjacent to Pine Avenue. Per the applicant's request, I make a motion to, the client wishes to withdraw his request. And I move that we withdraw the request.
Support.
Motion by Mrs. Danaskis, supported by Mr. Flood. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Tony Cook,
Yes.
Mike Flood,
Yes.
Diane Danaskis, yes. Don Walker,
Yes.
Dan Durham.
Yes, you're withdrawn. See you down the road.
Thanks, guys, I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Sir, I just want to say that commonly happens with those types of roads, so don't beat yourself up.
That's all right. Thank you, guys, for your time. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully we'll move off the treadmill we've been on here and move forward. Next case, AB 2023-10, XL Fireworks, temporary use permit for an open-air business at 664, 666, 668, 670, 674, 678, 684, 686, 688, 690, 694, 698, 700, 702, and 704 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell, 09-11-428-011, per zoning ordinance 78, Article 30, Section 30.11, F1B. Petitioner is requesting a temporary use permit for an open-air business to sell consumer fireworks from a tent, June 20 to July 5th, 2023. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jeff Guy. This is Tim D'Amico. We own XL Fireworks. We're planning on putting a tent another year. We did it last year. Everything seemed to be worked out perfect. So we're presenting to do it again this year.
Thank you. Board members. Mr. Flood.
Are you aware of our ordinance? Did you get a copy of the,
Oh, yes,
From the-
oh, yes.
from
We,
planning and
heard of
zoning.
every, oh, yes.
all right,
Oh,
we're going to
yes.
need a phone number.
Yep,
contact person.
yep.
And one of the criterias, a condition of, if this is approved, was that no public whatsoever is allowed in that area or in that tent until it's been properly inspected by the
yes.
fire marshal
Yep.
or a building
Fire marshal
official.
comes out before we open up anything.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, oh, no problem, no
Because
problem.
if that had happened to you, we'd have got notified by it.
Right. No, it won't happen.
Mr. Goodlow, if you remember, were there any interactions between ordinance folks and these gentlemen last year?
No, they were fine with everything.
Very good, thank you.
And we used our battery pack, so we really didn't have to use the generator last year, how we were saying last year. We're doing an upgrade of the battery pack, so everything worked out really well.
Okay, I want to go over your, you're going to be open from the two dates here or something.
It's like the 20th to the 5th. Well, we'll be down on the 4th. We're gonna go up probably the 21st, put the tent up, and then we'll have all inspections Wednesday, Thursday, try to open up on that Friday to the 4th.
Oh, yeah. And it's got your hours of operation in there.
Yep, hours, operation, everything.
I got that right here, I think. I I think I went down too far, Tony. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just trying to dot the i's and cross the t's
No,
here.
I understand.
There it is. There it is.
Do we have anyone that came tonight to speak specifically to this? Seeing none, thank you.
I'm prepared to make a long motion here if you want me to do it. But anyone else feels free if you want to. I know volunteers. All right.
Flood.
I move that in the matter of ZBA case AB 2023-10 XL Fireworks Temporary Use Permit for an open-air business 664, 666, 668, 670, 674, 678, 684, 686, 688, 690, 694, 698, 700, 702, and 704 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell number 0911, 428011, that the petitioner requests for a temporary use permit from zoning ordinance number 78, Article 30, Section 30.11 F1B, to open and run an open-air business, specifically fireworks, be granted. The applicant would be using the property for a permitted purpose and has demonstrated that they will be complying with the required conditions for an open-air business. Conditions of approval are as follows: that there be no other open-air business for fireworks within 1 mile, there are none. That the applicant will provide phone numbers to the building department to contact people that can be reached any time of day or night. The hours of operations will be 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., June 20th, 2023 through July 5th, 2023. Articles will be secured in a storage pod or something similar after hours. The applicant will provide the township with a current copy of the liability insurance listing Orion Township as an additional insured. The applicant will provide the township with a copy of their Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Consumer Fireworks License. Fire department approval will be required prior to opening, and the applicant must provide a $1,000 cash bond for a reinspection of the site once the operation has been removed. Approval is for the plans date stamp received March 29th, 2023.
Motion by Mr. Flood, supported by Mr. Cook. Anything additional by the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Diane Danaskus, yes. Tony Cook,
Yes.
Don Walker,
Yes.
Mike Flood,
Yes.
Dan Durham.
Yes, motion passes. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. Have a
welcome.
blessed day.
It makes it a
He's gonna
lot
give him a card
faster.
right now, just so we kind of saw that.
It makes it a lot faster and easier when you keep everything above board like you did last year.
Okay.
When he
Oh.
can say that everything was
Yeah.
fine, that goes a long way.
Oh, we don't cut no shortcuts. It's all.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next case, AB 2023-11, Chris Morgan for 406 Shorewood Court, Sidwell 09-03-405-010. Petitioner is seeking 8 variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R3, Article 6, Section 6.04. Number 1 is a 16.1-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet for the proposed porch to be 13.9 feet from the property line on Shorewood Court. Number 2 is a 12-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30-foot for the proposed attached garage to be 18 feet from the front property line on Shorewood Court. Number 3 is a 14-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 35 feet for a proposed porch to be 21 feet from the rear property line lakeside. Number 4 is a 29% lot coverage variance above the allowed 25% for total lot coverage of 54%. Number 5, under Article 27, Section 27.01, C1B. Number 5 is a 1-foot side yard setback variance from the required 7 feet for a proposed porch to be 1/10 foot. Change that to a 1/10 foot side yard setback variance from the required 7 feet for a proposed porch to be 6.9 feet from the side property line to the south. Under Article 27, Section 27.03, C, 3B, 2, and 3. Number 6 is a 10.7-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 20-foot for a deck to be 9.3 feet from the rear property line on the lakeside. Number 7 is a 10.7-foot water's edge setback variance from the required 20 feet for a deck to be 9.3 feet from the water's edge lakeside. Number 8, under Article 27, Section 27.17B, number 8 is a 4-foot wetland setback variance from the required 25 feet for a proposed porch to be 21 feet from a wetland on the lake side. Introduce yourself, please, and slowly and carefully explain this whole big bunch of variances, if you would.
My name's Chris Morgan from Chris Morgan and Associates, and I was hired by Mr. and Mrs. Hudson to design the addition to their house. So basically, what we were looking at doing, the house is a 2-bedroom house right now. We wanted to make it a 3-bedroom house and give them a covered porch on the lakeside. So, but in doing so and doing some research, we realized every structure on this lot doesn't comply with today's ordinance. And we're massively over on the lot coverage. So what we did is we developed a plan here that would try to minimize the additional lot coverage and also actually reduce some of the non-conformities that currently exist. So I'll kind of just start with number 1 and work my way through.
Let me interrupt just 1 second. The plan you're talking about develop is what we have in front of us?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yep. So the first variance is for the proposed covered porch on the roadside. And what that actually is currently there's a detached garage, and the only way to get to the garage from the house is to go outside. There's a concrete walkway there. When we tear that garage down and attach the new garage, you still are going to have to go outside and use the man door to get into the garage or use the garage door. So all we're simply doing is taking that concrete area and we're going to cover it with a roof. So we're actually not going any closer to the road. It's an area, but the difference is now it'll be a covered area instead of it being exposed. The second variance, the 12-foot variance for the garage. So currently, the existing garage is actually 12.8 feet off the road. Our proposed garage will be 18 feet off the road. So although we're still non-compliant, we'll actually be 5.2 feet further away from the road with the garage than what it currently exists. So we'll actually be decreasing the non-conformity. Number 3 is the proposed covered porch. So that one, now we are non-conforming there toward the rear yard. It's a 10-foot deep porch, 14-foot wide, it's covered. But what I would point out with that is although we are encroaching in the rear yard, we're still set back 14 feet from the existing rear of the building right now. The family room is 14 foot closer to the rear property line than what this porch will be. Number 4, the lot coverage. So what we did here is so we wanted to add the bedroom suite and the covered porch, and we added the front covered porch as well. What we did is we took out the existing garage and storage room. We took out a large part of the deck that goes across the lake side of the property. We removed another deck that's on the lake side of the property, and we reduced the size of the third deck. So essentially what we were able to do is by taking all that stuff out, adding what we're adding, we essentially only added about a little over 2% of lot coverage, about 103 square feet of net gain of square footage that counts as lot coverage with adding all that we're adding. And that was, again, by removing what we've removed. And then the 0.1 foot of side yard to the porch. Again, that I would point out the existing side yard setback to the garage and the storage room is 5.3 and 5.7 feet to the side yard. The new garage is 7.8 feet from the side yard, and the porch is 6.9. So again, not conforming, but we're over a foot further away from the property line than what exists currently. And then let's see, what's next? The deck. So the deck, 6 and 7 are following for this new deck that we're adding. Now, that deck actually exists currently. It's 16 by 12. We're gonna tear that deck down, rebuild it, and make it 10 by 12. So we're gonna make it smaller, but it's still gonna be the same distance from the back of the property. And then lastly, the 4-foot wetland setback. That again is to the covered porch. We are encroaching 4 feet there, but again, we felt it was reasonable because we're still 14 feet back from the back of the existing house. So basically, in conclusion, our feeling is that overall, although we're asking for 8 variances, that it is a reasonable request because, one, in many cases, we're actually reducing the nonconformity. By eliminating several structures, we're only increasing the lot coverage by a little over 2%, and we're actually going to be further away from the neighbor's house to the, south, because we're gonna be further away from the property line. We're conforming with the majority of the structure now on that property line, except for just the very corner of the porch, which is just a couple inches off. And then, and we're not blocking their lake view. So we feel like with all that we're giving up and modifying, that it's a reasonable request.
The structures and decks and things that you talk about taking down, who put them up?
Previous owners. My owner's only been there a year.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Board members.
So your total lot coverage will be 54%, is that correct? That is,
Yes, but it's like 52% right now.
Yeah, I thought I had a clear understanding of this. You just made it worse. So, and I don't mean that negatively, but, so the existing decks that are there, they're going to come out completely, or they're going to be resurfaced?
So two of the decks are gonna come out completely, and a third deck. So right now, I don't know if you guys went out to the property, but basically the whole lakeside has a deck going all the way across. We're gonna cut that deck, we're gonna eliminate some of that deck, because we actually wanna create a green space there. Then there's a deck above that that's kind of on a skewed angle, and it has like a planter. That's coming completely out and staying gone. Then there's the deck that has the French doors that come out onto it, that attached to the house. That one we're gonna tear down and rebuild it, only make it smaller. And again, that was mainly just because we wanna gain, reduce square footage.
That's where the sun porch is going.
No, the covered porch is gonna be part of the addition behind the new garage.
You said sun porch at some point, or am I mistaken, crossing cases here?
Yeah, no, it's a covered porch. If I said sun porch, I apologize.
Gotcha, thank you.
I have one question for you. You've been out there a really long time looking at this standard for granting a non-use variance that's up there on the overhead. How would you answer those questions? It speaks to practical difficulty, which is one of the prime movers that we have to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the practical difficulty is one that, again, where the house sits currently and where all the structures sit currently, none of them comply with the ordinance today, and it wasn't something that my client did. It's pre-existing, non-conforming. Talking to Lynn, it's my understanding that there were some variants granted way back, and I think in the 80s, actually. there was some variances granted, maybe for that family room addition, I'm not sure. But again, I feel like because there's literally nothing they can do on this property because of lot coverage and because of the setbacks, there's nothing they can do to this house that wouldn't require a variance at this point. And then if you look at an aerial of that area, the adjacent properties, it appears to me, and I printed one out, I can show you, but I don't believe I know none of the properties comply with the front yard setback, and it doesn't look like any of them comply to the rear yard, and I know, and it doesn't look like they comply to lot coverage. I don't think this is a unique situation in this area. It's like a little cottagey kind of community that looks like once upon a time, people just were able to do whatever they wanted or whatever.
Oh, you just hit it exactly on the head. We can't be held or responsible or even answerable to what happened in the past.
Right.
Different people, different ordinances, sometimes none. Some of those base structures were there, believe it or not, by looking at us before any of us were born.
Oh, totally.
So what happened then and what happens now is completely different.
Yeah, and again, that's why we were trying to be sensitive to the new ordinance by, again, like, with the new attached garage, like increasing the front yard setback, increasing the side yard setback, and then minimizing lot coverage by eliminating all those other structures so that we could, again, with adding a master suite and 2 covered porches and an attached garage, we're only netting 103 square feet of additional lot coverage, and that's because we're eliminating all the other items that we listed. So that's what we were, the intent, my goal was to try to net 0 on the lot coverage, but it just, if you look at the plans, I mean, it's not the Taj Mahal, like the bedrooms, like, I think 12 by 13, and it's, it's not an excessive, structure that we're putting up. We were trying to be aware of what we were dealing with, so, yeah, I mean, it's, again, it's not a big bedroom. We don't even have walk-in closet for the bedroom. It's a small shower, a 4-foot vanity, and a toilet for the bathroom. So, and we did have a little bit. It's a 1.5 car garage, and we kept the garage the same size as what was previously there, but it's attached. And then we reduced the storage area because it's like all those houses through there. There's no basement. It's on a crawl space, so there's really very little storage.
Do you, off the top of your head, know the lot dimension?
The lot dimension, you mean the overall dimensions or the square
No, just
footage? Square footage is 4,660 square feet.
How many feet across the front, how far deep?
It's 60 across the front, and it's, what is it? That's 85 on the south side and 77, 78 on the north side.
So it's fair to say it's a rather smallish lot.
It's a small lot, yeah. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Irregular shape too, a little bit there. Quite common with those lake lots.
I feel certain we have somebody out there that came specifically to speak to this tonight. If you did, come on up. No? Okay, seeing none.
I want to say please.
That's my client.
Mr. Cook?
Okay, so having a chance to look at the plans, and I did have the opportunity to speak with Mrs. Hudson when I went out there.
Oh, good.
But I think my confusion comes into play. There's a proposed porch on the front and a proposed porch that's behind the garage. Is that where an actual bedroom is going to go?
So if you look, you guys have this plan in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so where it says proposed addition, that rectangle there, that is the living space. So that's your bedroom, your hallway, and your bathroom. And then the long rectangle, it says proposed garage, that is your garage and a little bit of a storage room in the back part of the garage. And then to the right of the garage where it says proposed porch, and then there's that 13.9 foot dimension right there. That's the existing area that they have concrete in. that's kind of the walkway between the garage and the house. And since I'm gonna remove that area of the roof, I'm just gonna extend it over top of that so they have coverage when they walk between the house and the garage. So that's kind of there now, it just doesn't have a roof, but that concrete's all there. And then the rear porch comes off the back of the bedroom. So they have sliding glass doors, and they'll have a little 10 by 14 covered area where they can have a couple of chairs so they can stay out of the sun but still look at the lake.
So maybe I'm a little dense on the way you wrote these plans up.
Mhm.
I still don't, I understand, I see the proposed addition, but I don't see the additional bedroom.
Okay, well, are you looking at do you have this plan too? The floor plan and elevations? Oh, here. So this will clarify.
Oh, there it is on my computer.
Which is there. Here's our garage with a little bit of storage right here. There's that front covered area. There's the existing front door and the main door. And that dotted line, the main door was right back here. Okay. And that's the new deck. That this is what I. Yeah. Here you go, sir. Thank you. You just made it better.
Cleared me up too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have anything additional by the board?
I'm gonna, Mr. Chairman.
That's okay. Mr. Cook?
In the process of doing this, I'm gonna go down the lines of my esteemed colleague, Mr. Walker. How many trees will be lost in doing this, if any?
One.
One.
Yep. There's a tree right on top of that back storage unit, and it's destroying that space as it is now.
Mr. Walker put you up to that?
No. I know he doesn't feel good, so that's why I did this.
That's what I thought, possibly.
Chair,
Mr. Walker?
this, first of all, I'm going to commend you on your job.
Thank
You've done this before.
I have.
You use the right vocabulary. You use the right sayings and all that stuff, which is really good. That helps. What bothers me is the number of the variances and the size of the property and the reason for the variances and the practical difficulties that the homeowner has now that forces you to do what you're doing. And I'm having trouble coming to grips with all of that. Normally, there's give and take and things of that nature, but these variances aren't large variances for the most part. Some are kind of small. But it's a lot. And you just can't come and say, because I want it, we should do it. We have the ordinances to deal with, and the variances and the reasons for the variances are spelled out in the ordinances. And so I'm troubled somewhat by this. That was just like a speech. I'm done.
Having heard what you heard, if you've got any clarification from Mr. Walker, please do.
I understand, and I have done this a lot, but I'll be honest with you, I've never asked for 8 variances ever in my whole career. But again, I just feel like there is precedence in that area where the house next to us is under construction right now, and it's right on top of the road. I don't know if they require variances or not with what they're doing, but I do feel like there's precedence in that area, and I know you guys want to be careful with setting precedents, but I do feel like really, when you boil it all down, the only thing that we're really increasing is the lot coverage. Because everything else, although, because they're new structures, trigger a variance request, like the garage, but again, the garage is 5.2 feet further away from the road than what currently exists. The only, go ahead.
Mr. Morgan?
Yeah.
You're restating what you stated. Speak to the practical difficulty that's here. These changes, what's the practical difficulty behind what you want to do here? What exists versus what you want to create?
Well, I mean, I guess, again, it's the pre-existing non-conforming structures. I mean, I mean, yes, it's a small lot, and it's a slightly irregular lot, but I don't know that that's unique on that street. You know, and I don't know enough, to be honest with you, in that zoning district, like to know if this lot is smaller on average than many of the lots in the area or not, but, that I honestly couldn't tell you.
Are you connected with this? I'm the homeowner. With this case?
Yes.
Then come on up, introduce yourself, and this gentleman will stand aside.
I'm Maureen Hudson.
Okay?
Chris and I are working together. The practical difficulty for us, as I interpret it,
Can you come to the mic?
is it's a two-bedroom home. We'd like 3 bedrooms. We have 3 kids, so we tried to add a bedroom, you know, with least amount of disruption to the property and the neighbors, and so that's my practical difficulty. It might be more technical than that, but that's my simple.
Thank you.
I guess the other thing I would add too is, in my professional opinion, this structure could not support a second level structure. So going up isn't really an option, and to do it, I'd have to underpin the foundation. And with the fact that on the left side of the or the north side of the property, you're only a couple of feet off the property line, and there's a retaining wall to the adjacent property, there'd be no way to get equipment in there to even do any underpinning. So that would make it impossible to do without tearing the house down.
If I may, let me read verbatim the last 2 points of the information that outlines practical difficulty.
Okay.
That the variance is needed due to unique circumstances or physical characteristics of the land involved, and the uniqueness is not shared by neighboring properties in the same zone. It should not be due to the applicant's personal or economic difficulty. Number 4, that the need for the requested variance is not self-created. Did the property owner take any action that made the variance necessary? Or you could extend that to say proposed any action that required the variance to be necessary.
Well, and I think for 4, you could argue that it's not self-created. I mean, again, there's literally nothing they can do to this property that would comply with the ordinance as it's written today.
Well, I'm just pointing out what may be troubling the board a little bit.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And you spoke to other, you look and this property is different and closer, this one is different. Understand the function of this board is if 5 different people brought in variance requests on the very same street, they would be looked at separately 5 different times. Right. And it doesn't make any difference what this guy on this side or this one down the street has done. Right. We get that a lot. They come in with pictures. I drove around for 5 miles and all of these are what I want. Well, that doesn't help us. It's just specific to this piece of property.
Yes, I understand that.
Thank you. Board members, additional discussion. I'll try it again. Do we have anyone that came other than, and you can, that lady can't come back, the other 2 ladies can, that came specifically to speak to this tonight?
Oops, sorry.
You get 3 minutes if you want them. Okay, just introduce yourself when you get to the mic.
Marlo Hudson. I am Maureen's daughter. I'm not the homeowner, but I am a home goer, I guess. I live in the house. But I think that what my parents and Chris are trying to do is important, in that neighborhood, my aunt lives down the street and they made their house look wonderful. I love our wonderful neighborhood. And I know it's not due to any personal or economical difficulty. I don't think that has anything to do with it because it's not. It's what the lot looks like. I can't speak on any technical terms. I'm not a constructor. I'm a college student in finance. That has nothing to do with the type of situation this looks like. But in the case that I've reread these different types of practical difficulties, I think that the lot in itself creates its own, but in itself, it's nothing that anyone else can deal with, but make the lot better. Because the lot right now is not of its utmost beauty, I would say. I think that a lot could be done to make it look beautiful in ways that my parents could do, or in a seller, if my parents decided to sell their house and do it with. I mean, the lot and the house in itself could look a lot different. It could look a lot better if you guys decided to say yes. And in its own appeal, I think that the addition of what my parents are trying to do would make our neighborhood look better in itself. And I don't think they're trying to infringe upon any of the trustees' variances. I know these are put into place for very important reasons. But there's a lot that could be done in our neighborhood. I love our neighborhood. Our neighbors obviously could have shown up and combated our case, but they haven't. No one has come and said that this was a bad idea or this was infringing upon anyone else's privacy or the beauty of the lake, and I think that speaks a lot on what they were trying to do.
Thank you. Good luck in school. Anything for the board makes a move towards a motion? You got anything left? Now's the time.
Pull out all the stops.
House currently has how many bedrooms?
2. Yeah, and I mean, I guess, I don't know if, I mean, it says, prevent the property owner from using the property for a permitted purpose. Obviously, having too few bedrooms does limit their ability to use the property.
Can I interrupt you just one moment, Ms. Goodlow?
So, I'm kind of curious, how many of these requests are you actually increasing the number of?
Okay, number 1, we are decreasing. I'm sorry, number 1 is stagnant, I'm sorry. Number 2, we are decreasing. Let's see. Number 5 is a decrease. And 6 and 7 are the same, although the structure, the deck is smaller, the variance, the request is the same, and 8 is new.
So the biggest one obviously is lot.
Is what? I'm sorry. Lot coverage, and that's the one I felt like was the biggest ask, and that's why we were trying, like I said, we got it down to about a little over 2%, 103 square feet, and that was by eliminating all the other structures that we did.
Did you have any drainage plans?
No, the lot basically drains front to back, and we're creating, actually on the lake side, this is something that I think is worth mentioning, we are creating actually more green space back there, so we'll have more natural absorption for water runoff.
By our ordinance, you can, decrease the non-conformity at any point, as long as it doesn't exceed 50% of the value of the property. So, I just want to avoid taking that effect that, a lot of these are decreasing the non-conformity. Because right now, it's worse in a lot of areas. If you look at that lot, when I showed that picture, the whole thing's covered in building. Obviously, it's hopeful for improvement on how it drains. That's all I always ask for, as you guys know. But the lot coverage is always an issue. But it appears that the lot coverage is going to increase more. We don't typically sidewalks, I see you had sidewalks on the side. So I think
Yeah, well, and actually, there's a lot of concrete there now that's not in that calculation because of the detached they had, that's all concrete through there too, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, this is a lot of variances, but they're all, I mean, when you're dealing with something on this type that's been put together piece by piece over the years, this is what we end up with in the end game, you know? So that's what I can say.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Flood?
I'd like to piggyback on Mr. Goodlow a little bit there. When I see 8 variances, I have to agree with Mr. Walker. I said, oh, that's a lot of variances. But when I see one variance, 1/10 of a foot. What's that, 2 inches or something?
It's about an inch and a half.
Inch and a half.
I thought I was compliant, and then when the survey
Yeah.
came back, I
So
was,
we're talking an inch and a half on that one. And then, because it's a lake property, and this is pretty unique to lake properties. It's not unusual on lake properties.
right,
You got all the setback requirements to stay away from the lake and stay away from the wetlands. So when you add those in there, it boils down to about four variances, really. And the biggest one is the lot coverage. And that's the way you purchase the property, that building's already there. And there's already 2 variances granted on this years and years ago for the detached garage, and there's another one in there, but it has no bearing on this case tonight. But I just want to throw that out there, public record.
I did notice that the fire marshal raised no objection to your plans. He didn't have any issues.
not to my knowledge, no.
Now, he has a statement in there that says that he doesn't. And I was kind of expecting maybe he would, as tight as those houses are down there, but the fact that he doesn't means something for sure.
Well, I would guess it was because we were increasing the south side, and then on the north side, that's actually a vacant property at the moment.
I believe that you're familiar with this too, that sometimes they have to put in a fire code, walls and stuff like that.
Well, anything that's built within 5 foot of the property line, I don't believe there's no care, but, yeah, it has to have a fire rated assembly on the exterior.
Mr. Walker,
I'm ready to make a motion.
you have something, Mr. Nass?
I was just going to kind of piggyback on what Mr. Flood said, that it is a lot of variances, but, you know, I think they've done it as tightly as they can, given what they have to work with. And a lot of these work cottages, and now a 2-bedroom home is pretty unique this day and age. You need 3 bedrooms, basically, for just about any size family. And so I think they're repurposing the property in a manner that I think is beneficial, because by adding the bedroom, certainly more comfortable space for a family to live, and they're reducing a lot of the decking and giving more green space, and I'm really glad they're doing that. I looked at it and thought, my gosh, the whole backyard is deck.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm glad to see that the plan includes a lot more green space.
Thank you. Mr. Walker? Please.
Okay. Maybe it's because I'm tired, I don't know. Mr. Chair, in the matter of ZBA case AB 202311, Chris Morgan for 406 Shorewood Court, 09-03-405-010, I move that the petitioner's request for 8 variances from zoning ordinance number 78, zoned R3, Article 6, Section 604, 1, my voice may give out before I'm done, a 16.1-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30-foot for the proposed porch to be 13.9 feet from the front property line on Sherwood Court, to a 12-foot front yard setback variance for the required 30-foot for the proposed attached garage to be 18 feet from the front property line on Sherwood Court. 3, a 14-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 35 feet for a proposed porch to be 21 feet from the rear property line lakeside. 4, a 29% lot coverage variance above the allowed 25% for a total lot coverage of 54%. And as Article 27, Section 2701C1B. 5, a 0.1 foot, 1/10 of 1 foot. Side yard setback variance from the required 7 feet for a proposed porch to be 6.9 feet from the side property line to the south. That's Article 27, Section 2703, C3B 2 and 3. 6, a 10.7-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 20-foot for a deck to be 9.3 feet from the rear property line lakeside. 7, a 10.7-foot water's edge setback variance from the required 20-foot for a deck to be 9.3 feet from the water's edge lakeside. Article 27, Section 2717B. And 8, a 4-foot wetland setback variance from the required 25-foot for a proposed porch to be 21 feet from a wetland to the lake. Be granted for plans date stamp April 12, 2023, because the petitioner did demonstrate that the following standards for variances have been met in this case, and that they set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner shows the practical difficulties. Much of this is due to the unique characteristics of this particular property, and it's not related to all general conditions in the area of the property. In that, in reality, at least 3, and I don't have them listed, of these variants are actually are reducing the nonconformance of the existing variances on the property in the first place. And these are exceptional, extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable on this property that do not apply to other properties. The petitioner has indicated that they are going to enlarge the green space and make it more earth-friendly. So this variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the substantial property right possessed by other properties in the same zone, in that this is a 2-bedroom home, and even though I presume the purchasers of the home understood it was a 2-bedroom home a year ago when they bought it, they still prefer to have a 3rd bedroom, so that is a practical difficulty, sort of, in my estimation. The granting of the variance or modification will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements in such zone or district. Therefore, nor will it impair the supply of light, unreasonably increase the congestion in public streets, increase the danger of fire. The fire marshal indicated he had no problem with this proposed addition, or unreasonably diminish or impair property values within the surrounding area.
Support.
I have a motion by Mr. Walker, supported by Mr. Flood. Do we have anything additional by the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Don Walker,
Yes.
Tony Cook,
Yes.
Mike Flood,
Yes.
Diane Danaskus, yes. Dan Durham.
Yes. Request passes. You're on your way.
Thank you very much.
Next case, AB 2023-12, Eric Heiderer at 1382 Golden Eye Lane, Sidwell 09-25-401-024. Petitioner seeking one variance from zoning ordinance 78, zoned SC. Number 1 is a 9.63-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 35 feet for a proposed sunroom to be 25.37 feet from the rear property line. Introduce yourself, please, and let us know what you'd like to do.
Yeah, Eric Heider from Polyarch 44045, representing the owner. We're the architectural firm that was hired by Rashid. First of all, thank you for letting us be in this meeting, because I know you guys only take 5 and we're the 6th one, so I appreciate that. Lynn kind of helped us out on that one. Let me give you, a little highlighted. What's good and what is the variance portion. We're on Golden Eye, the house is conforming, and we're doing a kind of a 3-story addition on the back. the owner is bringing their elderly parents in to move with them, so we're kind of expanding kind of a addition on the back for the kitchen and kind of a bedroom. Most of the variance here is the uniqueness of the property. As you can see, the Goldeneye is on a curved road, so the property is really a pie-shaped lot, which is very unique in that area where everybody on Goldeneye is a pie-shaped lot. And also the characteristics where the house is about 40 feet from the rear yard property. So being a 35-foot rear yard setback, having only a 5-foot addition wouldn't be kind of too conducive to what we want to do. So that's why we're asking for 9 feet. The houses to the left and to the right are kind of angled on significantly to each side where it wouldn't be detrimental to what they're looking at because they wouldn't be seeing our addition in the back. There has been 2 variances that set a precedent for what we're proposing, on the same street at 1398 Goldeneye that did a covered porch, which asked kind of pretty much the same what we're asking for a kind of a 9-foot variance. So again, most of the area is the uniqueness of the property on how it angles in 2 different ways, so it kind of cuts our addition in half. If the property was more of a normal rectangle or square, I think it would be a little more conducive to what we want to do, so. So we're here asking for a 9-foot variance.
Thank you. Board members?
I see in the applicants also that they're, this is quite common, they're having to bring in their elderly parents to live with them. And they feel that this would be detrimental to their health, having that addition to that sunroom where they can get out there and enjoy Mother Nature. Whether or not that's considered a hardship or not, I don't know. I guess it's the same as adding a 3rd bedroom. Or if they're handicapped too, that helps too.
They're both mid-80s, so they're getting up there.
That's not old.
But that's not old.
I agree with the applicant too. It's, the property there, how it's angled on that road there. And I don't see 8 variances. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Yeah, you're welcome. That's,
Appreciate that.
I've never done an 8 variance request in my 30 years of doing this either. That's kind of odd.
Well, you don't have the unique lake property.
Yeah.
Although you got that retention pond.
We got the retention pond back there, so, and it is a walkout, so as you can see, most of the property is kind of already somewhat developed, even though, we're significantly less on the lot coverage, but the property does go to pretty much all the setback requirements, so as you can see, there's not a lot we can kind of do that would be significant as an addition.
I'll say something on the record too. This is no bearing on you. I notice a lot when we go out and look at these properties. They have the 2nd story, they have the nice French doors or the nice door wall that goes nowhere.
Yes.
Because eventually they're going to have to put a porch or something, a deck up there. That's going to require a variance.
Yeah, we actually, answer that question, what we did on this, if you look at my set of plans that we did on the 3rd floor, we recessed that back where that portion, the 3rd floor is not part of the addition of the variance because now we have a deck over our addition. So we're not going to protrude any farther with a deck.
Yeah. So you stay within the
Yes.
what the ordinance allows now.
Yeah, so the walkout in the 1st floor is what we're asking for, but our 2nd floor, we recessed it in to have that deck over the 1st floor, so that kind of answers that question.
Stay compliant.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I feel for these people who buy these homes and they're, okay, oh, geez, now what am I gonna do? I gotta put a board or something across that so the kids don't go tumbling out. Just a comment.
Do we have anybody in the audience that came to speak specifically to this matter? Seeing none, thank you. Any further discussion by the board? Any other questions? Please do, Mr. Cook.
I'm sorry, matter of ZBA case AB 2023-12, Eric
Heiderer,
Heiderer.
Old German, yeah.
Yes, sir. Just keep
Thank you.
Thank you. 1382 GoldenEye Lane, Sidwell 0925401-024. I move the petitioner's request for one variance from zoning set number 78 zoned SC or special circumstance. Number one, a 9.63-foot rear yard setback from the required 35 feet for a proposed sunroom to be 25.37 feet from the rear property line be granted for plans date stamped April 12th, 2023, because the petitioner does demonstrate that the following standards for variance have been met in this case, in that they set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does show the following practical difficulty that due to the unique characteristics of this particular piece of property, not related to the general condition of the area, that and its trapezoidal shape, it presents some things that are unique to this vision itself, not that particular street. The following are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that do not generally apply to other properties in the zone. Again, that's the trapezoidal shape of it. In addition to that, it does have a retention pond that's behind it. And then the variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right posed by other properties in the same zone or the vicinity based upon the following fact, and that is that this family is taking in their parents, and in order to preserve and enjoy preserve and to ensure that their parents are able to get around the property, this addition is going to be necessary so that they might do that in a safe manner. In addition, the property does slope towards the retention pond, and this having them in this enclosed space with the deck will be a lot safer for them. The granting of the variance or modification will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements in such areas or districts in which the property is located. Nor further, based on the following findings of fact, the granting of the variance would not impair adequate sunlight or air to adjacent properties, nor would it unreasonably increase congestion, would not increase the fire danger, as the fire marshal has also included a letter citing no concerns for this addition onto this property, nor would it unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Cook, supported by Mrs. Danaskis. Do we have anything additional by the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mike Flood? Mike Flood?
Yes. That's coughing.
Don Walker?
Yes.
Diane Danaskas, yes. Tony Cook?
Yes.
Dan Durham?
Yes. Motion, you're passed. You're on your way.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Public comment. Anybody out there waiting for a chance to speak on something? No? Okay. Communications, we have anything from anybody on the board? Understand they've been selling the cover off books over there, eh?
It was pretty good.
Good. I know they had a lot of signage up. Good. Committee reports, anything? Ms. Flood?
No, not on committees, no.
Mr. Walker? Okay. Member comments, I'll start and maybe be the only one. I appreciate the strength on this board. We encountered something tonight that I have never personally seen before, or if I did, I had lost sight of it. I didn't have any idea how to proceed, and senior people being here made it a lot easier, and I appreciate that. And in addition, everybody's sticking with it. Some of them are going to come back. And I also appreciate the fact, and it's been that way since the very first board meeting I ever came to, we can vote sharply against, and it's not against, just contrary to one another, have different opinions, and it makes the board stronger, and we all go away friends like we were when we got here. That's important. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Thank you. Very well said. I had 3 important dates I want to get out there.
Okay.
They're not book sales, though, because I heard they had a successful book sale at the library this last time. On Saturday, June 3rd, this will be happening all before we, there's a no-haz event, household hazardous waste, that's going to be up at Oxford Middle School up on Lakeville Road. It's on June 3rd. You can go to nohaz.com for that. Also, there's going to be free shredding day. I think I sent everyone out an email on that. At the Orion Center, free document shredding for the general public from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Orion Center during their community garage sale. And then on June 10th, Waste Management will be holding their first of the year free disposal day. You can take all your junk up to Waste Management and on June 10th. And that does require a proof of residency. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anything further? If not, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you.